Recently, I posted a point of view video from one of my own wildlife sessions, but there was something in that video that I didn't share with you about that experience. While photographing the wood ducks, it became one of those situations that reminded me just how easy it is to ruin your own opportunity. Hey, the ducks were there, I could see them, but they were not in a position for me to capture photos or video of them. They were farther away than I would have liked, and they were tucked back into this little area where I could see them, but I still didn't have a clean shot. And this can be one of the most frustrating situations in wildlife. You can see your subject, but you still can't capture them. It's disappointing to say the least. The possibilities are staring you in the face, but you also know that it might not happen. If your subject would just move into better view or come slightly closer to you, it would change everything. But in that moment, you can feel yourself growing more and more frustrated and impatient. Now, we talk about the importance of patience all the time on this channel. It's essential as a wildlife photographer. And there's a reason for this, right? If we want to be successful as wildlife photographers, patience is necessary. But when you're out in the field and you're faced with this situation that I was faced with, the clock starts ticking. And you start thinking, what if they leave? What if they never come any closer? Is there anything that I can do to get closer? And if I do try to move in some way, am I going to scare them off? And this is exactly where I found myself with these wood ducks.
But you're stronger than you know. You'll never be alone when everything feels dark around. Just look inside where light is found.
Welcome to the channel. I'm Jeff, and I'm a professional wildlife photographer living in Charleston, South Carolina. This is a place for photographers who want to learn to create better wildlife photos that are compelling, meaningful, and emotional. Wood ducks are not the kind of subject where you can just barge around, make noise, shift your gear, and expect them to ignore you. Wood ducks are known to be nervous, fast-moving, and strongly tied to cover. They are beautiful birds, but they are also very good at making you look stupid. One wrong movement, one loud zipper, one sudden adjustment, and they can disappear into cover before you even get the chance to raise your camera to your eye. And once that happens, it's very possible that you won't get another chance. So let's set the scene a little bit. On this particular day, I had made my way to the back of the pond where the wood ducks generally like to hang out. Now, there are several logs laying on the ground. There's plenty of canopy cover from low-hanging trees. It's essentially a little slice of heaven for wood ducks. Now, as I approached the area, I did not see any visible sign of wood ducks, and quite honestly, there often is. But I made my way through the woods down a little trail where I set up my stool and camera. Now, I was about 10 to 15 feet from the edge of the water. My thought process for setting up my shooting position took several things into consideration. One was my cover, so I set up near a tree that gave me partial concealment. Two was access. I also set up in a position where I would be able to access most of the area that the wood ducks generally occupy. Three was distance. My position was such so that if the wood ducks came really close to my position, I would still be at a comfortable distance from them. I was shooting with my Sony A1 Mark I and my Sony 400 to 800 millimeter lens. Now, once I set up facing the pond, the wood ducks would have been positioned approximately 50 yards off to my left. Now, I could see some of them just from a visual inspection, and of course, I could see more if I looked through my camera's viewfinder. When I first arrived, most of the ducks were positioned in a way that the vegetation was at least partially blocking them. Now, sometimes this can be difficult in South Carolina because we have a lot of trees with that Spanish moss that hangs down from them. So the bottom line is this: there were several different obstacles and challenges with the location of the wood ducks. The part of wildlife photography that many people don't talk about is the mental spiral that happens when you know your subject is right in front of you, but the photo is not coming together yet. It's easy to start having these arguments with yourself. They are too far away. If I move, I might scare them. Should I add the teleconverter? If I wait, maybe they will come closer. What if they leave? What if this is my only chance? Am I being too cautious? What if I move too much? And the more you have these conversations in your head, the more impatient you tend to get. Impatience is a funny thing because we often forget to consider some of the things that impact our ability to have patience. For example, if you're overly tired, typically it's harder to be patient. If you're stressed about something in your life, this too can impact your ability to have patience. Sometimes you're out in nature and you sit there, patient as can be for hours on end. Other times, it's a struggle to sit there patiently for just 15 minutes. I think almost every wildlife photographer can relate to these feelings. And here's where it really takes a turn. On those days where it's a struggle to remain patient, it's no longer about photographing the wood ducks or whatever else you might be photographing. The moment becomes more about managing your thoughts and your anxieties and your fears and your whatever feelings. On this particular day, I was photographing the wood ducks. I was dealing with some of these things. It was hot. It was 92 degrees and humid. It was about 105 to 107 with the heat index. I was tired and I was feeling a little stressed. Now, as many of you know, I've shared with you with this in past videos. I had to undergo several surgeries last year. I had a hernia surgery, then I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I had to undergo a prostate removal surgery. It was a crazy year. But recently, I found out that I'm having a little bit of a heart issue, and now I need to undergo what they call an ablation procedure. Now, nothing too major from what I understand, but it adds stress. Right? All of these things happening in your life, these are the things that cause you to feel more tired or cause you to feel more stressed, and they take a toll on your ability to demonstrate patience. As I sat there watching the wood ducks, a couple of them came into view. I captured a few images and I took a little bit of video, and then they suddenly returned to their previous partially blocked position. Now, looking at my photos, I wasn't overly thrilled with the distance of the shots. In my mind, I kept saying, just add the teleconverter because we need to get a little bit more reach. I certainly couldn't get any closer physically. But the other part of my brain was saying, hey, this small movement could be a big mistake. A big misconception that many wildlife photographers have is the impact that even small movements or noises can have. Many times it's the slightest of movements or noises that actually cause your subject to flee the area. So don't underestimate even small movements or noises. I knew that I was going to have to unzip my camera bag and that this was obviously going to create a little noise. Having to take my lens off and then add my teleconverter and then reattach my lens, this too was going to create some noise. All of this was going to require that I have to move around a little bit. Was this movement going to raise an alarm? Was the noise I was making going to raise an alarm? Perhaps one small noise or one small movement on its own, well, maybe it's not too detrimental. But to an already nervous subject, these movements, this noise, it adds up quickly. And these wood ducks, they're already on high alert. Maybe it hears something, or maybe it sees something. Then your shape changes. Then your lens moves. Then your hands move. Then the wood duck decides, you know what? I'm out. And just like that, the opportunity is gone. These were the thoughts that were going through my mind, but I was continuing to grow more and more impatient. I decided I was going to add the teleconverter. I slowly reached down, brought my camera bag a little closer to me, and I slowly began to unzip it. The whole time I'm keeping an eye on what I'm doing, but I'm also watching the wood ducks for signs of alert. And as I started to unzip the bag, 2 wood ducks that were floating on the surface of the water suddenly looked my way. I immediately stopped unzipping the bag and froze in place. They scanned the area in my general direction. Shortly after, they began to slowly float away from me. But they did both turn their heads back in my direction a couple of times just to kind of double check their surroundings. As I continued unzipping my bag, I did so until it was open just enough for me to grab my teleconverter. I then had to unzip the case that holds the converter, and as I did this, I continued to keep a close eye on the wood ducks. Now 4 wood ducks had swam from the back of the pond and came a little closer to me. They were still about 30 to 35 yards away, but nonetheless, they were closer. I now had to remove my lens, add the teleconverter, and then reattach my lens. I moved slowly. I detached the lens, and the sound of it releasing from the camera got me some more stares. I watched them closely and focused on keeping as still as possible. When they relaxed a little, I continued with attaching the teleconverter and then my lens. It was finally on. Looking back and evaluating my choices in that moment, I don't think that adding the teleconverter was automatically the wrong decision. In fact, I was thankful I did it. The issue wasn't that I used the teleconverter. The real issue was how I let my impatience make the decision for me. I was not rationally thinking through the entire situation. I was feeling more like I needed the shot to happen. And this is when you really need to be careful, because making decisions with this mindset, you can easily push too hard. You move a little too fast. You unzip the bag a little too quickly. You remove the lens with a little less care. You stop watching your subject's body language for disturbance. You become focused on your frustration rather than the animal. I was successful in getting the teleconverter on, but I almost scared those ducks away. Not because I did something outrageous or made some huge obvious mistake, but because I let my impatience dictate my actions. For those of you who follow the channel, you know how much I believe in the importance of self-reflection. What went well? What didn't? And what could I have done differently or better? And this right here is what this video is really all about. Because the point of this video is not to say, hey, just be patient, right? That advice is just too easy and too obvious. The better lesson here is to understand what better decisions could I have made in the field. The first thing that I really probably should have done was prepare myself for the possible need to use the teleconverter prior to even setting up my shooting position. Now, that would have cut down on my movement of having to get it out. It would have cut down on the noise of having to unzip my camera bag. I could have even placed the teleconverter in my pants pocket. It would have been easily accessible and, more importantly, quiet. I might have even considered attaching the teleconverter before I got to my shooting position. I scanned the area for wood ducks prior to getting into position, so I already knew they wouldn't be in close proximity. Already having the teleconverter on would have eliminated every movement and noise that came with putting it on in the field. I also could have completely left the area I was in and went around to the other side of the pond where I could have gotten closer to the wood ducks. Now, it would have been about a 10-minute walk to get to that position, but it was an option. Not every option is necessarily the right or the best option. Not every option is necessarily convenient. But every option needs to be considered as we take into account how we can get the best shot while keeping our subject's best interest in mind. As I reflect back on that day in the field, it makes me think about all the technical aspects of wildlife photography that help us to be successful in the field. But it also reminds me that many times our biggest mistakes are not technical, they're emotional. Wanting the photo too much. Now, I don't mean wanting it too much in a passionate, dedicated way. That part is good. I mean wanting a photo so much that we stop observing, we stop listening, we stop reading the subject. Maybe we push just a little too hard. We manipulate the situation to fit the image in our head. But wildlife doesn't really work that way. The wood ducks don't owe me anything. It was my responsibility to figure out how to work with what they gave me. It's our job to be ready without becoming disruptive. Sometimes that balance is difficult, and I almost got it wrong. If you're looking for a powerful photo editor, I highly recommend checking out DxO Photolab 9. This is the software that I personally use and trust for all of my editing, especially because of its industry-leading noise reduction and their AI masking tools that make editing faster, more precise, and more consistent. Now, if you would like to try it out for yourself, use the link that I've provided in the description below. And if you decide that you want to purchase it, use my code Magnolia at the time of checkout. This will save you 15% off on your purchase. You can also download their free 30-day trial and test everything out for yourself firsthand with no restrictions. And if you really want to learn how to get the most out of Photolab, check out my DxO Photolab Mastery Class at magnoliaphotographysc.com/store. In that course, I walk you through everything from how to properly apply noise reduction and sharpening to how to use the AI masking tools. This course includes some freebies too, including my full preset collection for wildlife, portraits, nature, and landscapes. Hey, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to spend it with me and learn a little bit more about how to be patient and how to kind of control yourself out in the field. I hope you found this helpful. And hey, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. But before you go, you might want to check out this video right here.